So hello and welcome to another Miscellaneous Monday. So today on the Mag Chats, I've driven all the way out to the outskirts of Nottingham to meet a bit of a hero of mine really. Is a photographer that I've known for about, well I've known of I should say, for about 8 years. It's Ed Godden. Now Ed is an awesome all-round photographer and I can't wait to just go and meet him, and we're going to go to his studio and chat all things photography. Thanks for joining us everyone. So we've got Ed on the channel. Now Ed, I'm a big fan of Ed. Now I'm sorry to blow smoke up your ass, but I first came across your work when you were working for Practical Photography. So what was that, about 2000, well it was about 2011 I think?
Yeah,
something like that.
2010, 2011, yeah.
Yeah, so you, at the time, was that your only gig? Were you doing weddings and other things at the time, or were you...
No, that was pretty much, that was my full-time job.
Yeah.
Previous to that I'd worked at Digital Camera magazine,
yeah,
which was based in Bath, which is nearer to where I'm originally from. And
yeah.
then I moved to Peterborough when I got the job at Practical Photography.
Yes.
When I got that job, it was kind of a bit of a boyhood dream, because that was always a magazine that I had always read as a kid. I think I got my first copy of Practical when I was about 12, 13.
Yeah, it's a good magazine. I remember learning, I think, again, I'll try not to give you too much of a big head, but whenever I buy that magazine, you'd always do that. One of my favourite features that you had was the stranded in so-and-so.
Oh, yeah, dumped.
Dumped in, yeah. So
yeah.
You did like Dungeness, and you did like, was it Middlesbrough, one of them?
Yeah, I think Middlesbrough might have been the first one that we did actually.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was all about you just having an hour, a couple of hours in somewhere different every time. Yeah. And you just had to just make the best of what you had. Yeah. And I think that was a really cool...
Oh yeah, that was an interesting feature that I had to do every month, and I was only told where I was going like the day before.
Really?
Or, yeah, they'd like book a hotel room if it was too far, if it was like Dungeness down in Kent, or the Middlesbrough one, that was a hotel stay.
Because there was one up by, what was the lighthouse one you did? Was it Spurn?
Spurn Point, yeah, which is, I can't even remember where that's.
Is it Hull, isn't it?
It is near Hull, isn't it? Yeah.
East Riding or something?
Yeah, and then a couple of years after we did that one, I think it got damaged in the storms and...
Yeah. I think they've closed the road or something since.
Yeah,
something's happened to it. Yeah,
it was a really dodgy track anyway going up there, but
yeah, that
was really cool to photograph. Yeah, I like that. I like the coast anyway, so
yeah. So, are you a landscape fan? Would you call yourself a landscape photographer? Or?
Yeah, when I was at college and when I was getting into photography properly, when I was like 14, 15, I was quite a shy, quiet person anyway, so I preferred photographing anything other than people, to be honest. Yeah. Anything that meant I didn't have to talk to people, I photographed it. So I mainly landscapes. I was a huge fan of Charlie Waite, who's an amazing landscape photographer, and I just loved his square format.
Does he do a lot of large format stuff these days? I'm sure he does some like phase 1 stuff, maybe. I'm sure.
He might do, yeah. But yeah, he used to be all about the Hasselblad and the 6x6.
Yeah,
format, and I was shooting on a DSLR, but when I was printing it in my darkroom at home, I'd crop it to make my 35mm images look like they're taken just without the quality. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've since Practical, then you're full-time wedding photographer.
Yeah, I left Practical. I think it was in 2012. Yeah, it was 2012. So I left there, and just quickly started doing weddings again. I'd shot weddings when I used to be a press photographer before working at Practical, which I'd done for 12 years. Yeah. But I didn't really enjoy shooting weddings back in the day, years and years ago, because I used to shoot them in a very traditional way, just because that was the only way that weddings used to be shot then. Yeah. So it got to a point where I think I was asked to shoot a mate's wedding, and I just said, I don't mind doing it, but can I shoot it in my way and my documentary kind of style? Yeah. And they said yes, I did it, and I really enjoyed it, and it's kind of taken off from there. So
before the magazine days, you did a lot of sports stuff, a lot of portrait stuff, and you did a lot of like journalistic style. You worked for the paper, one of your local papers back in the southwest.
Well, when I first started, back when I was, just left college around 17, 18, I worked for a studio for a year, which was just doing commercial stuff. Like, it would be dark when I'd arrive. It'd be dark. I'd go into a dark studio. Then when I left at 5 in the evening, it was dark.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
after a few months of that, it just did my head in. I was just like, no, I need to be an outside photographer.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back to college to do A-level photography because I'd already done GCSE the year before.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing one of my assignments, it was at Newbury Racecourse, and I just happened to be around the paddocks with my long lens. I was the only photographer there. All the proper press guys had gone to photograph the race, and then I just saw this horse rear up, and it was the horse that Willie Carson was on, the jockey, and it was kind of the foal that ended his career.
Oh.
And I saw it, and I was like, crap, I've got to get a shot of that. I didn't know it was hit, didn't see it was him. I followed horse racing at the time because of where I'm originally from, and then I took some pictures, and then I saw it, showed my dad the prints later on when I got home. My mum and dad were just like, oh, you've got to take that to the local newspaper. We're off on holiday tomorrow. Do it. We'll drop it off on the way. We went to Cornwall for a week, came back after dropping the pictures off at the newspaper, came back. On our front doorstep was the front cover of the newspaper, then broadsheet with my picture, massive.
What?
On the front cover with my name underneath it.
Amazing.
I saw that, and then there was an envelope there with a cheque for the picture, not a lot of money.
Yeah.
But also said, did you want to come in for an interview? And
no way.
I just off the back of it, it was just right place, right time.
And that was when you were a teenager?
Yeah, that was when I was 17, 18, maybe just before I turned 18.
Cool.
So
yeah,
best thing I ever did.
I was going to say, do you think that really shaped the way you work now, because it was such a hard...
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. It was,
living.
even though it was only local newspapers, you were still part of the press back when you were going on bigger assignments. When I started working at Newbury Weekly, I was really lucky that the first year I worked there was the year that Newbury Bypass was being built, so there were lots of riots, and it was proper energetic stuff for somebody my age to be photographing, and I just thought this is what it's going to be like all the time. But then once the bypass was built, it was back to photographing check presentations, horticultural shows on a Sunday.
The opening of a village hall.
Yeah, exactly. And then trying to photographing a cat stuck up a tree. Seriously, it happens, and you do it because it's your job. But then you think back about, oh well, I was photographing riots a few weeks ago, and but it's luck of the draw. But I worked there for 4 years. Then I went to another local newspaper, the Wiltshire Gazette and Herald. I worked there for a year. Then kind of the Bath Chronicle photographers approached me, and then I moved over there. And then that's when the job started getting a bit bigger, because you move to a big city, bigger assignments, celebrities, royal visits. And then after that, I then worked for an agency up here in Nottingham. So I moved up here in 2003, worked for an agency working for all the nationals and doing magazine shoots, which was really eye-opening, hard work, but it was a bit too paparazzi for my liking. And I ended up moving back down to Reading, working for a local newspaper at the Reading Chronicle for a few years. Yeah. And then I started doing Premiership. So I've done everything and really moved around the country. Yeah. Ended up working for a sports agency at weekends, shooting Premiership football. And then after 2 years of doing that, as well as working at the Reading Chronicle, I started working in magazines, and then that's how Digital Camera Magazine led me onto practical photography. So
now that you're a self-employed photographer, is this really the first time that you've been able to obviously have no boss, and is this one of the first times that you've been self-employed really in the last 5 years or so?
That I felt totally in control, you mean? And,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I was self-employed when I worked at the New Weekly News, but at the same time I was really young. I was still wasn't earning enough to even move out of home. I was still living with my parents until I was 20, 21, all the time that I was working there. So as much as I did do other work, a lot of the time my responsibilities were with the paper. Yeah. But since leaving the magazine, it was just kind of like make or break time. If I'm going to do weddings and I want to shoot them this way, I've got to get into it now. And luckily, I think I got into it at a good time. Yeah. Back in 2012, where the reportage documentary kind of style.
So do you remember when you made the switch from film to digital?
When I worked at the Bath Evening Chronicle, I'd only been there a few months, and we got the Nikon D1 in, and the boss always had that camera, but whenever anyone went out for the early morning shift, and it had to be back for the paper that day, we'd take it and we'd have to wire the picture back from the laptop on our bonnet, and we'd be like, crap, how does this work? It's new technology. I love film. I had a real love-hate relationship with digital for about a year, probably because I had been on film for so many years. I found it hard to make the transition over to digital. So every assignment I was going on, I was shooting. First of all, I would do all the pictures on the film camera, and then I would do it on the digital.
Yeah.
And that went on for 8 or 9 months. I was doubling everything up.
Because you couldn't take the risk.
Yeah, just because I didn't trust I didn't trust the equipment, because it was still failing in the early days. The batteries didn't last that long. Even if you went out and did an assignment on a really cold day, the batteries might not last as long as...
And are we talking about the turn of the millennium here, sort of
Yeah,
thing?
that was... I think that was 2001 maybe.
And and so how much was the camera that you were using, like, in just to make things in real terms? It's to get a DSLR these days is dirt cheap, isn't it? You can get one for a couple of £100, 300 quid maybe. But so if you wanted a digital camera in 2001,
I can't remember how much the one that we were using. I think it was probably about 5 or 6 grand. But I do know that the ones with the Canon cameras that had the Kodak, I think it was a Kodak, massive bulky bit that would go on the bottom of the camera. I think those was reaching maybe 10 grand, something like that. I don't know where I've got that figure from, but it seems to be somewhere lodged in my millennium mind. Yeah.
Well, just before we talk about some of your images, why don't we just sort of talk through some of the gear that you like to use. So first of all, on the table in my eye line, you've laid down a little leather toy. Number.
Oh, the leather, yeah.
So what is this thing that you swear by?
My bridle, I mean horsery, horses, not
you don't wear
bridle.
brides.
No, exactly, I don't wear brides. Those days are long gone. This is a skinny holdfast, which, like I was saying to you earlier, before we started filming, that when I saw some photographers wearing these at weddings, or you'd see them on social media, a part of me would just be like, I don't think I could wear them, because I'd just be concerned that people... You stand out a lot at weddings anyway, and if you're thinking that people are looking at you or saying things anyway, sometimes you get a bit self-conscious, and I was just like, if I'm wearing something that makes me look like an S&M monster...
some sex pirate.
Some sex pirate. I don't want people saying all sorts. So I put off buying it, and then I went to Way Up North, which is a wedding photography conference, and it was in Stockholm a few years ago, and the Holdfast guys were there, and they were selling them, and I just tried one of them on, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so comfy. Yeah. And then when they put the cameras on them as well, I just stood up, and I was just like, oh my god.
You'd obviously
years
used
and years.
cameras anyway.
Yeah, years and years of being a press photographer. Sometimes, as a sports photographer, you're carrying a 300mm 2.8 lens over one shoulder, and I think at the time I had a massive Billingham bag with all the lenses and everything. Probably about 90% of the stuff in there I didn't even use at a football match. So as soon as I put this on, and with the 2 cameras attached there, I was just like, I'm getting one of these. Yeah. So as soon as I got back to England, I went online and I ordered the skinny version, because at the time I was thinking about making the transition over to Fuji, so I thought, I don't want to get the wide one, I'll get the slimmer one. Yeah. And it's brilliant. I don't get bad backs anymore.
Yeah, great.
Or if I do, it's not through any fault of the camera equipment anyway. Yeah.
Because you're a marathon runner, right? You're a long distance runner.
I've ran 3 marathons. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Probably. I did one last year, but I did it after shooting a wedding in Oxford on the Friday, London on the Saturday, and then I drove back to Nottingham and I ran the Nottingham Marathon on the Sunday. And
a full marathon or a half marathon?
No, a full marathon, yeah.
Holy!
So after about 15 miles, I think it dawned on me that I'd just shot 2 weddings previous to
yeah. So did you ever have did you run the whole way? Did you?
No, I got to I think it was mile 20, 21, and then I was just spent. A mess? Yeah, I was just spent, and I just walked the rest of it, and did my worst time out of the 3 marathons. I'd done Brighton Marathon 2 times before that. Yeah. So I think my marathon days are long behind me, but I still run 3 or 4 times a week now.
Cool.
It just keeps me motivated, and keeps me in shape for wedding season.
It must be a almost an escape from photography as well. Good way to clear your thoughts.
Yeah, I used to run all the time with it. With music on, but a lot of the time now, because we live near Sherwood Forest and got some amazing scenery around here, so it's lovely just to go out, escape for an hour, or 2 hours if you do like 10 miles, then come back and then you just set up for the day ahead of you.
It's inspiring. I'd love to be able to just...
I've only done it since I met my wife, so
Really?
I used to run at the gym on the treadmill a lot, just because I was packing a bit more weight in my 20s, and it is a great way to lose weight. And then over like the last 6-7 years, Claire's introduced me into it, because Claire's run a London Marathon a couple of times as well.
Right. So do you run together, or do you?
Not since we've had Jessie, no. So since we've had our son, it makes it. We take it in turns to go for runs.
Yeah, because I suppose you're out for hours at a time sometimes.
Well, yeah. Sometimes when I was marathon training, the longest run was about 3.5 hours. It's too much time to have on your own and think. Yeah. All good fun though, and I do eat a lot of crap during wedding season because you're just on the road.
Yeah.
So much service stations and just wedding cake. You can't say no to that when that's offered to you at the end of the day.
While we're on that note, what would be your favourite motorway service station?
I thought you were going to say favourite cake.
Well, we'll do both. We'll go. We'll go. Have you got an answer for both? Have you got a cake in mind?
A cake? Blimey, there's too many.
Are you a Madeira fan or a carrot cake kind of
carrot cake? I had a carrot cake just before you arrived, actually. Yeah. I did, seriously, yeah. That's so funny. Did you see the wrappers or something? Yeah.
I didn't.
I had carrot cake just before you arrived. Services, there's too many. There's Leicester East, is it? Or
Leicester Forest East?
On the
M1?
Yeah, on the M1.
It's the welcome break, isn't it?
Probably because it's only about an hour away from home. So
yeah.
If I'm going down south, I know that's a good time to get a coffee. And if I'm coming back from a wedding, I know it's a good place to just pull over and have a nap.
Yeah.
Because it's still an hour to go. Because a lot of my weddings are down south.
I find myself on the M5 quite a lot, and I love Gloucester Farm Shop and Kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Which is owned by the same company as T-Bay, which is up in the northwest.
It's not like a services.
It's like an emporium of just
you get
hipster.
A can of lager in there for about £4.
Yeah.
Real ale, should I say?
Yeah. No, it's cool stuff. This is Godden HQ, Global HQ.
Nottingham branch.
Mate, this is so cool.
Marketing, PR, photography. Just me. Right, just me and Anna. Anna, my assistant, that works for me as well.
We've got no Anna today, have we?
No, she has Wednesdays off. But no, this is the front room where when couples do come in to visit.
Yeah, that's really cool.
They just see this, and then this is kind of my display that I used to have up at wedding fairs. So rather than lugging it from different wedding fairs now, it's just bolted on the wall.
Yeah, they have to come to you to see.
Exactly. But no, this is the handiwork of my dad. Just a lot of the stuff in the studio.
Is your dad a carpenter or something?
No, he's just a hell of a lot better at DIY than me. I've got no patience and no skill.
That's really cool. It's a great first impression.
Do you think?
When people come in, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you can't beat print, can you?
Right, so the next thing I wanted to ask you about your cameras then. So what are your camera bodies that you use for weddings?
Well, the current setup, I've recently just bought the Nikon D850, which is a hell of a lot heavier than the D750, which is what I've been using since they came out about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've just gone back. My favourite lens, and it has been for years, has been my favourite focal length has been 35mm. Yeah. Just for its documentary style focal length. It's not too wide. It's not too.
And you get nice uprights, and it's not.
I shoot nearly everything landscape. I very rarely. Occasionally, if I do like a bridal portrait or a groom on his own, or just a nice portrait of one person, I'll do it upright. But most of my, I know it sounds a bit lazy, but most of my stuff is just all landscape. Nearly everything you see on my website is shot like that. And yeah, so I've been using the D850, and first impressions, I'm really happy with it. File sizes are massive, but at the same time you can make them small, medium or large RAWs. So
I see.
I might have to look into seeing what the medium RAWs are like. I'm sure they won't be that different, not noticeable anyway.
So in terms of your cards then, do you have like a compact flash and a SD? Or?
No, these are SD and XQD cards.
XQD, right.
XQD card is something that I've since getting this, I've had to buy a few of them. Other than that, I've got loads of SD cards from the D750s. Although the SD cards in these ones are the more powerful ones.
Yeah.
So. And
how big do you like to have them? Like 64s, 32 gigs, or 16s, or?
Well, because the file sizes are so big, I've gone for 64 gig and 128 gig ones in there. And then just backing up onto 128 gig XQD card. But on the D750s, I generally used to use, when I was shooting with two of them, it would have been 16 gig cards, 32 gig cards.
Yeah.
And then in the backup SD cards, like I'd put a 256 gig.
Yeah.
And that would just be backing up, just for fail safe, just in case anything happened to the card A.
Yeah.
So, but with the 35mm that I've just recently rebought a Sigma 35. So.
Oh, great lens, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had the Sigma 35mm art for the D600.
Yeah.
So that was when the 35mm art first came out, and I loved it on that camera. I loved it when I then upgraded to the 610. Brilliant lens is what I use for like 80% of my shots. Just loads of impact. Really contrasty lens, and as soon as I got the D750, I just could not get my last Sigma lens to calibrate with it. I had the Sigma dock as well. I was recalibrating after every wedding, and it just hacked me off so much that I sold it. I just couldn't get it to look right on the D750.
Yeah. So
I sold that lens, bought the Nikon 1.4. Wasn't completely blown away by that, even though it was like 1,500, 1,600 quid.
Yeah.
I ended up dropping it last year at a wedding, just as I was saying goodbye to the bride and groom. I went like that, I was changing lenses, dropped it on the dance floor, and then I've ended up getting I've got it fixed, got the 35mm 1.8 Nikon lens, which was only about 400 quid. That's really pin sharp, really nice.
Was that brand new?
Yeah, brand new.
Oh, right.
Yes, I think it's 440, 450 quid.
It's a good price.
And it's so light, the Nikon 35mm 1.8. You can focus really close with it as well. But it wasn't giving me the drama that the Sigma 30, the character and the punchiness and just the mild vignette. I know you can put vignetting on in Lightroom, but I'm old school. I like it to look good when I'm looking through the camera and when I'm taking the photo. So I've started using. I bought a new Sigma 35mm art, and this one works wonders with the D850, and it works really well with my other D750s. So
amazing.
I don't know. People do say that some Sigmas, you can either get a good or a bad copy. Well, I'm not sure how true that is. I think it's just how you calibrate it with your camera and how good you are at calibrating lenses. I mean, until I worked at the photography magazines, I didn't know that you could.
So how do you literally do it then? How do you literally...
with the D850 it's really easy. You just set it up on a table, put something a few feet away, open the aperture wide open, and in the menu settings the D850 is like the Nikon D5. It's got auto AF fine tune, so you just hold down the two buttons. I can't remember which ones it is. It's one of those things where you do all the time, and then as soon as you go to do it, you have to YouTube it to remind yourself.
I see what you mean, yeah.
And then you just focus, and then it'll give you a plus or minus, whether it's back focusing or front focusing, and then do it 2 or 3 times, then just take one of those readings, like the one that is giving you the most, or the average of.
So it's not necessarily then, like you were saying, a bad sample then if you're noticing.
It's not. Some people don't know about calibrating lenses, so you can't just presume that.
Yeah.
That everyone knows that each lens with each body is going to work differently. You can't just borrow a mate's lens, whack it on your camera, and expect it to perform as well as he's using it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're lucky, and straight out of the box, you don't need to do any calibration. You just leave it on 0, and it's focusing fine. But I know my old Sigma when I recalibrated it, it was taking it to the far. It almost would needed to go off the scale to get a sharp shot. Everything was okay up to 6 feet, which kind of I shoot most of my stuff between 0 and 6 feet away anyway.
Right.
But if I'm doing a landscape and I was shooting something at 1.4 because I just wanted to focus on that one thing and create the depth, I wasn't having a lot of confidence in it.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same with the D750. I've got two 750s and they're both shot over 500,000 frames.
Yeah.
And the shutter's still going, but it's only a matter of time until they die.
Yeah.
So I just needed to get a camera that I had confidence in again. So I've got two D750s and the 850.
So when you've got your camera body set up for a wedding, what lenses do you have? Two lenses that stay on the camera all day? Do you interchange?
Typically, I'll have the holdfast on me. I'll have the D850 on my right hand side just because I'm right-handed. It's just natural for me to go like that. And then on the left hand strap, I'll have the D750 with normally the 58mm.
Yep.
1.4, which is a lovely lens, got loads of character.
58?
Yeah, 58mm, yeah. It's
like a bizarre focal length, but...
It is, yeah. It's just got loads of character. And,
yeah.
I've also got the 85mm 1.8, which I use for speeches.
Yep.
And I keep that in the bag along with the 20mm.
Yep.
1.8, and the 20mm generally only comes out if I need to do anything mega wide in a church, or in the evening I use the 20mm nearly completely.
So what percentages would you say, this is taken on one of your average, weddings, would you have, I don't know, most of your images taken on 35?
Yeah, I'd say 80%.
Oh, really?
35mm, yeah.
So you rely a lot on this camera with this setup?
Yeah, not necessarily that lens, but that lens at the moment. But a lot of it comes down with me a bit to weight as well. I mean, feel how heavy that is. That's the D850 with the new Sigma on it, and that's the D750 with the 58mm. It's like holding a toy.
Oh yes.
Compared to holding a car.
That is light as a feather.
It's light as a. As soon as I got the D850, I was just like, whoa, that's. But that's because I got so used to the D750, and I also use Fuji's. I tried making the transition over to Fuji a couple of years ago, and I still have my Fuji's because I do like them for personal stuff, and occasionally at weddings when I needed to be completely silent, I'd use the XT2 or the X Pro 2.
Yeah. And
they're even lighter. It's like shooting with a mobile phone compared to shooting with this beast.
And that matters because it will give you more miles in the tank, won't it? If you're absolutely blowing, or you've got a bad back by 6:30.
Or if you've got two weddings, if you've got another wedding, if you're doing a wedding on Friday and then you've got another one on Saturday.
Yeah.
By the time you're driving to the Saturday wedding, and even with the holdfast, as much as I say it's great for your back, there's only so much standing you can do. Some of my weddings are like 12, 13, 14 hour days because I don't have a set package. If a couple have got me, they own me for the day. I'm theirs. So I generally leave. I say that I leave about half an hour, 45 minutes after the first dance. That never happens. It's always like an hour, 2, or even 3 hours. If the party's kicking off,
you stay as long as there's something going on.
Yeah, I find it hard to tear myself away from a wedding because if there's good photos to be had. Even when I get in the car and I'm driving away, sometimes I daren't look back just in case there's something cool happening and I'm not getting there. I've been known to get all my kit back out and go back in when...
Well, that's the way you've got to do it. You play it by ear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So just while we're talking about photos, let's talk about some of yours then. So, so when it comes to your portfolio on your website, how far back in time have you still got some keeper images from 10 years ago on your website, or is majority of things, are they quite recently shot?
I'd say probably the oldest image on my website is probably about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And that's probably around the time that I went back into, made the change into just shooting weddings and nothing else.
Yeah.
And it was probably just because I took something and it meant something to me at the time, and I've probably taken it off my website and then it's gone back on because I've thought, why did I take that off? Just because I thought it looked dated, when in actual fact I might have been shooting something that was really cool at the time. Yeah. And it's come back round again.
Yeah. So, I mean, with this image, I mean, it's pretty obvious here that this was this like the seconds after a moment? Was this like what I like to call an outtake sort of thing?
Generally, I chat a hell of a lot, and That was a wedding from last summer. I'd already taken them out to this bridge. It's only a 2-minute walk from the venue. The venue's West Mill in Derbyshire. A really amazing, stunning venue. I've shot a few weddings there. This bridge is literally a 2-minute walk from the venue. I'd already taken them out, done this same shot earlier in the day, but the light was really flat because it was about 2 p.m.
Yeah,
just after the ceremony.
You can see it hitting the tops of the trees.
Yeah. But then this is in the evening. I just went back up to them after they had the meal at about 8 o'clock and said, "Is there any chance I can get you guys back out because the light's so much nicer?" And they were such a lovely, relaxed, chilled out couple. They were like, yeah, of course it is. We get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Went out there and I probably just said something stupid and
yeah,
I got the shot of them feeling. A lot of my couples don't like being photographed. They feel awkward in front of the camera. I don't know why I attract that kind of couple. Maybe it's just because it's all very relaxed. And that's what I put out on my website, that nothing's too serious. It should be fun. It shouldn't be contrived.
So you don't seem to attract the Hollywood couples, or
no, when a couple say to me on the wedding day about Photoshop and can I Photoshop, I'm really shocked because a lot of the time I'm like, have you read my website? Have you seen that it's real life what you get with me? It's I can't bring the fun to a wedding. You've got to, God, that sounds like I'm right miserable. So no, they have to bring the fun to the shoot. Yeah, they're the ones. I'm just photographing them being them. I'm not there to try and create stuff happening. Yeah, a lot of the time when I'm photographing something, it is a genuine moment. Yeah, it's not staged at all. As much as I'm asking them to stand there, hold each other in a certain way, I'm not touching them, and I'm not getting them to be all lovey-dovey if they don't want to be, and you wouldn't get a genuine reaction out of their faces. Some people might have looked at, some photographers might have done the cull of that shot of that wedding and then deleted that because their eyes are shut, but I mean I would have deleted around that. I would have deleted the ones where their eyes were open and they just looked a bit awkward. But then
I mean you said earlier, didn't you, that you're not a traditional, well, you're a quirky guy, so the way you shoot is visceral, it's real, it's these little moments that, you know, 1/8,000th of a second at a time. These are the images that you're grabbing.
Impulse. It's going back to when I was a press photographer. Yeah, that was the only way that I knew how to shoot. So, so I'm just like, why change it?
I love this. I mean, obviously, this is probably one of the most recognisable spots in the UK. It's Durdle Door, isn't it? Yeah. And so engagement shoot.
Yeah, pre-wedding shoot a couple of years ago. They were really cool, actually. They said to me, "Oh, where do you want to do it, and where do you want to do the shoot?" Normally, it's me that's, well, I probably did say first, "Where do you want to do it?" And they just came back and said, "Oh, is there anywhere where you want to shoot?" Well, I'm based up in Nottingham, but I'm originally from down south, and I have been to Durdle Door quite a few times with my parents when I was a kid. As an adult, even when I went there with the school for a geography trip, we went down there, and I just suggested it to them. The groom, he did photography at uni, so cool. Because I was aware of that, I just said to him, "Oh, do you mind doing like a sunrise shoot or a sunset shoot, because the light will be better?" Yeah. And I do think about the lights a lot before a wedding. I don't plan anything I don't look at weather forecasts or anything like that, because that's completely out of my hands. Because
I see from Instagram, Facebook, the likes, that a lot of your shoots, especially what makes social media, they always seem to be drenched. You see,
I bring the rain.
You got a machine. I see so many shoots that you've been in the forest or out and about, and you've just had a really good.
People have tried to cancel shoots with me because they've looked at the weather forecast in 2 weeks' time, and I'm like, but you're not going to cancel your wedding if you look at the BBC News the day before and it says it might rain tomorrow, are you? And they're like, fair point. And
that's a really good way of.
On my frequently asked questions section, it says, what happens if it rains? And I've just put, you'll get wet. It's the most common question that I get when people are over-analysing their wedding or they're worrying. It's understandable. So you only get married once. Well, most people do. And well, not most people. I've been married twice. And then, so this couple, he had done photography at uni. I'd said that about the light. And then I actually left Nottingham at 11 o'clock at night to get down to Durdle Door.
It's a sunrise shoot. Yeah, you were out first thing.
Yeah, sunrise shoot. Yeah, so I left Nottingham, drove down to Durdle Door. I pulled up at a lay-by about 2 miles away from there about 4 a.m.
Yeah, 'cause it's a National Trust place, isn't it? So they probably had a gate closed or something, or...
I can't remember, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I had a half hour, 45-minute nap in the lay-by, then met up with them. They were staying at a B&B nearby, met them in the car park. And I think there is National Trust, because you have to go into
There's a
a
huge
holiday
car park
park
at the top, isn't there?
Yeah, we went into the holiday park, or parked out just outside. I really can't remember.
Yeah.
And then we walked all the way down there, and that was shot on the Nikon D5 actually, because I was reviewing it for Amateur Photographer magazine. So I was lucky enough to have the D5 like the week it came out.
Yeah.
So I was reviewing it. So that is a beast of a camera. That was massive.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, really heavy.
And when you do engagement shoots, do you only take one camera, one lens?
No, I'd pretty much take the same setup.
Yeah.
I sometimes even take my 24-70 on, if it's like a London. Actually, this one that was shot on 24-70.
Yeah.
But Nikon's 24-70, because I was reviewing that as well, because it was the new VR lens.
Yeah.
Which I've not got. I've got the old version. But yeah, the light there was just spectacular. I'd love to do all my pre-wedding shoots, sunrise or sunset.
So was it your suggestion to meet first thing, or?
Yeah, it was my suggestion. They just went with it, and
really?
it was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, wicked! So, did you do a bit of research to find out if they were, that they loved chasing the dawn sunlight, or did you not even?
No, I'm just thinking about the light. And
the fair play. So don't be scared to ask your clients to get up and get out of bed. And
research isn't something I tend to
really do
a lot. Yeah, it bogs it down. You've got to, as much research as you put into a wedding day as well.
Yeah.
You can't change anything. I used to get couples that say, "Oh, it's really important that you come and see the venue, and see where everything is. Can you come and look at it in July when we're going for our last visit?" And their wedding might be on Christmas week, and I'll be like, "There's no point, because the light in July is completely different to Christmas week. Plus, you're getting married at 3. They start by 3:45 Christmas week. We've hardly got any time to play with the light." So now I just tend to get to a venue a little bit, quite a bit early. I'm always ridiculous.
Probably the journalist in you that loves the improvised.
Improvised. If I can't see something straight away, it's not worth. It's not worth shooting.
This is awesome. So this is some sort of optical illusion. Were you in some sort of? How did you shoot this?
I took some ropes with me and just pulling them out. No, it's just an upside down room. Yeah. It's a hotel in Chester. Yeah. I shot their wedding, I think it was 3 years ago.
Oh, great.
The lamp and the table and chairs are on the ceiling attached to it, and then you just got the bride and groom to look like that, like they were hanging down, but they were just stood there. And then you just flip the frame around. So is this on your portfolio? Is this on your website? Yeah, that was for a while my opening picture on my website, just because. Yeah. I don't know. When it got to the point where I was changing a few of the words, my kind of like my strap lines, if you will, on the website, fun kept popping up, and I just thought, well, my opening picture needs to be a fun picture rather than a lovey-dovey shot. Yeah. So that was my main picture, and a lot of people say, don't they, your website, the first 3 or 4 the first 10 seconds or the first 3 or 4 images of a slideshow, you need to be grabbing somebody, and I just thought that picture really grabbed my attention when I took it.
It's different, because so many wedding photographers would have their, like the lovey-dovey photos.
Their epic landscape shot,
And this is just fun.
Yeah.
And this is probably like go on, let's just see what happens. And,
they were up for it, yeah.
I love this image. This is so fun. So how did you? I mean, is this sort of the dying hours of the night, or is this?
You'd think, wouldn't you? But no, this was a wedding in Lake Como.
Oh wow!
Last year that I shot, and it was a couple from New York getting married out there, and they flew I think it was 42 of their friends and family over, and most of their guests arrived the day before the wedding. So on the morning of the wedding, I think everyone was really jet lagged, and I was really pumped. Got a wedding in Lake Como. Going to shoot this couple from New York, and then by the afternoon, by the evening, when I think their jet lag had worn off, they just went wild. And
oh really?
Shirts off and the dance floor, because they had their the party in a cellar bar downstairs, and there was no aircon in there. Everyone was dripping in sweat. I was as well. It was roasting.
Real grungy kind of. Yeah.
One guy had his shirt off and well, this guy did a few minutes after that, and it was a free bar, so he was just drinking his gin and tonic straight from his well, I think his girlfriend, his girlfriend's cup.
And this has got, you got a flash gun on, I would have thought here.
Yeah, that's on camera for the SB 900, and then I got closer than that. That's shot with a 20mm, and I was like right under his chin, one shot, and the drink was splashing onto the lens.
So you will use your on-camera flash then?
Yeah, it's pretty much in the evening. It's when I get the flash gun out, and it's nearly always on camera. Yeah, I've got a cable as well, and whenever I put a cable on, I'll take a few shots, and I'll just like, oh no, go back to because it just doesn't suit my style all the time. It doesn't. I'm not a huge fan of off-camera flash. I know a lot of photographers are really good at it, and it can be done really well, but I've tried it a few times, and I just don't like the look it gives. Doesn't suit my style of shooting. I've seen some off-camera flash photographers do a really good job of it, and if couples are into that, they need to book those photographers.
You've got like a real sort of reportage kind of candid feel about your work anyway.
Just raw.
And if you set up two lights and stuff, you kind of lose that feel a bit.
Yeah, I haven't got the patience to do that. I've got little to no patience. So when I take a couple away to do the portraits for like 20-25 minutes, if I can see that they want to get back to the party, or if they just feel like we're going over the same old thing, I won't test it, I won't take it, I'll let them go, and I'll review what I've shot, and if I need to take them back out for the sunset, something like we saw a minute ago, I'd like to think that they'd be up for that. They're not always up for it, but it's their wedding day, and I'd like to think that they trust me. If I say you're going to get an amazing shot if you come with me now. But this party, I stayed until they got kicked out. Yeah, I was trying to persuade them to all jump in the swimming pool, and then security got involved, and they wouldn't let. But the bride and groom were well up for it. We got down to the pool, and then security scuppered it.
Party people.
Yeah, I was there till gone midnight with them. This is Claire's room, my wife's room. Yeah, don't film any of the boxes down there. Right. that's all chucked in here, so the rest of my room looks good. But yeah, so she is a letterpress printer. Yeah. She makes really cool stationery, lots of gift cards. She does hot foil press as well, so we've got that. You've got amazing windows and great natural light that comes in, and it's kind of what sold it for us when we looked around the studio. I just really wanted lots of natural light coming in, especially with what Claire does. Yeah. She needs to be able to see what the colours of her work looks like. Yeah. And how crisp it looks like. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, these are really heavy antiques. I bet you could photograph these things all day. There's so much detail. And there is a lot of detail, yeah. So she works in here, and Jesse, our son, when he comes over, he has free reign of the place as well. Okay, so he probably causes chaos, no doubt. He does, yeah. I think he'll probably have this room again when he gets a bit older. Yeah, so this is kind of, I wanted to have a bit of a lounge area, just for couples to feel comfortable. And, yeah, it's got a really nice feel to it. And what's the story behind? Where did you get this flag? This is really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I follow a lot of. God, this sounds like I just copied it, but I follow a lot of wedding photographers in America on Instagram, and I just saw it cropping up all the time. I think it's got some creative meaning, but I don't really know. Yeah, it looks great. It looks cool. That's what I got. Yeah, as long as it doesn't mean anything bad, I'm alright. Do you think you've got a huge US influence in your? Oh yeah, definitely. Both me and Claire love America. And, I've just recently changed my logo, which Claire's designed for me, and a lot of people have seen it and they've said, "Oh, it's good. It looks like a 1950s diner." That's what I thought. Yeah, did you? I saw that, and a friend of ours also said it kind of looks a bit like a 60s retro record label. Yeah. So it kind of looks like that. So we didn't intentionally go for that, but I suppose, like you say, with our influences, it comes across in creativity. Let's talk about this image then. So this is, where is this? That's at the Asylum in Peckham. Right. And that's another cool venue that I've shot at a couple of times. The light's always amazing in there. Is it? Really, really nice. This is a real sort of, I don't know, rock and roll sort of snapshot, maybe like atmospheric portrait. Like I mean, environmental portrait, shall I say. That was shot with my 24-70. I shot a lot of that wedding on there, but sometimes when I do London weddings, I really like to travel light, and generally whatever I can fit in my slingshot, my low pro slingshot, I'll just take. So I think I left my hotel room with just a holdfast on. I had one D750 with a 24-70 on, and the other D750 with a 35mm on, and the flash in there.
Yeah.
And then I shot the whole of the wedding pretty much with the 24-70 on.
Awesome.
And that was just all the guests had left on a double-decker Routemaster to the Lordship pub in Dulwich. And then while we were waiting for the bus to come back, the bride and groom were just having a fag outside, and I took that really low down with it at 24mm, and
cool.
I went up to them. Well, when I took it, I thought this is going to be one of my favourite shots of the day because I'm just capturing them, chilling out.
It's a bit different as well because sometimes you find that brides say, "Oh, I don't make sure we don't take a picture of me with a fag or something."
Yeah.
But this is obviously
Mum doesn't know I smoke. Don't do that, and then.
Yeah.
And then you're overthinking it, and whereas with them I've been photographing them just being themselves.
Yeah, I mean it's a really nice expression what she's doing. It's like a sigh of relief, or it's just them at a really cool moment of the day.
When they booked me, they were just really chilled out, and they just said, "Look, just do what you do." And when a couple say that to me, I've just got like
music to your ears.
Yeah, music to my ears. It's just like you're gonna have a cool day.
I love your sort of grungy style. Now I can see here, or I mean, this might be again me sort of overthinking things, but it's a real sort of nod to your film days here. It's quite a grungy.
Cinematic,
yeah, it is. It's got like almost like a noisy quality to it, but
that was the first wedding that I shot after I bought the 16mm for the Fuji.
Okay.
So this wedding I shot with one D750 with 35mm on. And on the other camera, I had the X Pro 2 with a 16mm on. And so the 16mm on a Fuji is 24mm equivalent on a full frame camera. And I just noticed that everyone left, it was raining, everyone left on a bus to go to the reception. The groom's just about to get into the Jag with her. And the bride's just like looking out as if to say, "Oh."
So you didn't pose that?
No, I didn't pose that. No, it was just like everyone had gone, and I just got close. And just the way the reflections worked, got the tree in it, and then you can see her face clearly. And
so, do you say to your bride and grooms, or
pretend I'm not here?
Do you say that?
Yeah. The amount of times I say pretend I'm not here
as a rule for the day.
Yeah, and to the guests. The most awkward part of the wedding day I find is when I first turn up in the morning and the door opens at bridal prep, and you just know that it goes dead quiet.
Yeah.
Because I'm there, and I'm not one for. I have a laugh. I'm not one for telling jokes. And as soon as I walk in, if I've met the bride and groom either via Skype or in person or a pre-wedding shoot, it's great because I know what's going to go down and how they're going to react with me throughout the day.
So you don't get too friendly with people, or you don't get too, chatty.
Yeah, I'm always friendly and chatty with people, but I never latch on to one person more than another because you're taking your eye off while you're there, to be honest.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of the time it's just like pretend I'm not here.
Yeah.
If sometimes you say that and then they'll just instantly look at the camera.
Be hyper aware.
Yeah, and you're there with the camera, and I've done walking up the aisle, and sometimes the first time I've met the groom is when I've ran in the church and I've gone, "Oh hi, I'm Ed," and introduced us that way, and it's quite awkward that way. And then the bride will be walking up the aisle, and then I'm just like, "Don't look at me, just pretend I'm not here." And then they're like,
"Yeah."
And their wife-to-be is walking up behind them, and I'm like, "Don't look at me, look at her, or look anywhere other than at me."
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was, and that there was no way I was going to edit that in colour, just because, like you said, it's got that kind of it's got a cinematic, grungy look, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a really, really nice image. It's really
just getting
nice
it up close. I love the close.
So do you like to be not in people's faces, but rather than having...
I like them to know that I'm there, yeah.
Yeah. You don't stand miles away with
a telephoto.
1 to 400.
That was back in my press days, in a bush somewhere.
I think you've got to get in amongst the action, really, haven't you?
Amongst it, yeah.
This image here, then, you've got a really simple... you obviously didn't shoot this woman in her...
full frame,
entire form. You just sort of...
Went for what I thought looked the most artistic, I'm not a fine art photographer at all, but occasionally I will do something that could be perceived as that.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I just saw her legs and I saw the fishnets and just thought that'd make a cool black and white shot.
Yeah.
And in my head I'm thinking about the presets and I would just go for black and white Ilford HP5.
Yeah, so you already know.
I'm thinking of ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how you can just. I think with photographers, it's kind of like you've got like the matrix going on.
Yeah,
Because you just.
Shall I vignette that?
Yeah.
Why would you vignette it? Yeah.
Because I imagine when you're looking at this, you're looking at it like a camera sensor, and you're seeing things from black to white. You're seeing those tones, and you're thinking,
well, the layers.
There's a big dynamic range there, so black and white would look really cool.
Yeah, and I'm always about the depth in images as well. So I shoot so much wide open.
Yeah.
I very rarely go past 2.8.
Really?
Yeah. And when I say past, I mean 2.8, f4,
Max.
f8. I don't use that. I'm nearly at 1.4, 1.8 for the whole day.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people would do 5.6, f8 as a safety net, really.
If I was doing a group shot, I would shoot 5.6, f8 just so that everyone was pin sharp.
Yeah. But everything looks way cooler, doesn't it?
It's just it suits my style more, yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about this image off camera a minute ago, and I'd probably say, from my, I mean, this isn't a classic wedding image, and I love that, and that's what sets you apart from maybe the next wedding photographer, is that you're catching images while the next wedding photographer is probably eating his dinner while everyone else is.
Photographing the shoes in the living room.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this is just, you tell us what's going on.
I'm just looking for different things that are happening. This was at a wedding in London, and the bride was getting ready in the next room. They were getting ready in the bride's flat, and then one of her mates just wanted to go outside for a fag.
Yeah.
So it meant she had to go out the bathroom window to get onto the roof of this flat in London to have a cigarette, and she just happened to be climbing out with a champagne. When I walked past the bathroom, the door was open, and I just saw her leg just go, the trailing leg go through the window, and I thought, oh. And then she turned around, I saw she had a glass of champagne. I just went, oh, I've got to get a shot of that. And then she just turned around and went like that. And she probably thought, he's not going to take a picture.
Yeah. There's no way that'll make the final cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of my favourite shots of the guest.
Yeah, I imagine this person here is probably renowned for being a bit of a legend in her social circle. So
well, she kept saying throughout the day as well. I photographed her having a cigarette on the town hall steps when they all came out, and she just thought it was funny that every time I was photographing her, she had a glass of champagne and a cigarette in her mouth.
Yeah, she looked like Patsy from Ab Fab or something. Yeah, that's really cool. Now this one is similar to the picture we've got behind you, which is, it's got like a real festival theme to this one.
Yeah, colourful.
So would you say that colour is a real big part of your style? Vibrant colours.
But I don't push the editing too saturated or vibrant. I still want images to look real life, even once I've applied a preset. I never like it to look too ghastly. I just think the image will probably date more than another image if you tone down the colours and that. So with that, the colours are introduced with the smoke bombs. Yeah. So I don't really have to do a lot with that.
So was this like a confetti walk? Were they walking towards you with people out?
Yeah, it kind of was, because they didn't. I don't think they had confetti. It was a very intimate wedding at a big Airbnb down in Devon, and the couple, an Aussie and a New Zealand couple, they were getting married. One was from New Zealand, one was from Australia. They flew all their family and friends over. Yeah. And then they did warn me. They said, "Oh, we're going to have like a smoke bomb exit." And I tend to not ask questions when people say things like that, because if I start giving suggestions or saying, "Oh, well, can you go there? Can you go there? Can you go there?" It's all staged, and everyone's just like, "Oh, but we'd already planned to do this." So I just keep out of it, and then I shoot it as it happens, and then because I've kept out of it, everyone's really happy and they're doing what they want.
Yeah, and you're kind of... Are you walking...
I'm walking backwards, No, I walk backwards more than I walk forwards. Yeah. A lot of the time, I'll probably go back.
Do you ever stack it? Do you ever fall over?
I haven't, but now I've said that, I probably will do it on Saturday.
Stand on someone's toe.
Yeah, I'll be looking out for that at my wedding this weekend. Yeah.
Sorry, Pat, I've just jinxed it. No, I love this little image because what's this, a flower girl?
Yeah, that's bride and groom's daughter, actually. Yeah, and they had just thrown the confetti. And I was actually photographing the confetti as a detail shot because I'm into weird shots like that. And then as I was just looking at the next frame I saw was her with all the guests' feet and that just behind her, and she just looked really isolated there. So I shot that with that was on my old Sigma 35mm, so that was shot at 1.4. And because of the natural vignette you get on the Sigma art lenses, I just kept it in there. I didn't correct it in Lightroom, and it's just dark in the edges. So
kids,
she's more Kids
are great at weddings, aren't they?
Oh, perfect.
They're
especially
always in their own world.
Yeah, and especially when it's the bride and groom's kid as well. I'm ever since having a kid myself as well. I know how important it is to have cool photos of your kids. So and she was really shy as well, so her looking down, it was her,
Yeah, that's a really lovely shot, I really like that. So this one is obviously...
That's the asylum again. Yeah, so that was the asylum, the couple that were outside having a cigarette that we were looking at a minute ago.
Yeah.
So that was shot into the light. I just love it, the light that shines in at the asylum.
35mm? It looks quite... you must have been really close to them if it is.
I think I had the 24... That was the 35mm, I think. Yeah, I had the 24-70 with me as well, and I think I was quickly moving between them. And I know I had a couple of bites of the cherry with that one, so I think I shot on 24-70, then went over to 35mm when she went back in for another kiss.
So when you're at, it doesn't really happen apart from churches really, but sometimes you can get salty vicars and jobs worth really, or maybe it's the rules, I don't know, that tell you no photography.
He was as chilled as anything.
Really?
He did this because it was he was a registrar that had come in.
Yeah. And, so is the ceremony something that again you just let what's going to happen and you just snap away?
Yeah, when I turn up, I still get vicars every year. As soon as I turn up at the church, I had one the other week who was brilliant. He was really nice, and he said, "No, I know you've got a job to do. You go wherever you want." Cool. And it was brilliant. Then the following day, I did one. He just said, "No, you got to do it from the back. The couple know that you got to do it from the back." I went and told the bride when she arrived, and she said, "No." He said that we could do it from the front. And I'm like, "Oh, great! Now what do I do?" Because 85mm is the longest lens I like to carry with me. I've got a 70-200 in the car, but the car's not always really close. So you just have to. It is what it is.
But being prepared by maybe just having that lens, just in case you need it.
Yeah, it is. But then you can't carry like a pack horse. Or like I said, I like to travel light and
yeah. This is a
that
really...
was,
so is
that
this,
was the bride and groom's son.
So is the son just sort of grabbing the... is this a wedding dress here?
Yeah, she would literally just put the dress on. I'm trying to do portraits of her and the girls, and he was just like tugging at it, and I started laughing because it was quite funny, and I find that funny, and the bride did as well, but at the same time he was treading on it, and I was just like, okay, that's probably a bit too far now, but I'd got the shot, so... But I mean... Natural light coming in from a window there.
It's a moment that you've captured, isn't it? And that's what life's all about. It's just a series of moments put together, isn't it? And
it's annoying that his face isn't in it, but the action's there with his arms. And...
I think it tells a really good story. I think it's a really nice frame, and like you say, I love the natural light, and it's got quite a cheekiness about it.
Yeah, without the face.
Yeah, I really like it. This one speaks for itself. This is just like
a passerby.
Lined up a photo, and you've snapped. I mean, you've got them obviously perfectly in focus, and
because that was shot on the 20mm, so I think I'd just done a scene setter of their venue, and I wanted to do it quite wide, and I went on to do the portrait, so I had the 20mm on one, and I think I had the 35mm on the other. I went to grab the 35mm, and he was just walking by, and I knew I wouldn't have him in frame if I used the 35mm, so I went with the 20mm, and just managed to get him in there, congratulating them, and again, when I went in with the 35mm, I went in really tight on them and did them upright. Didn't get all that in, but
from a technical point of view, I mean, from a compositional point of view, you've got all your lines pointing towards your couple, and I think
shapes.
Yeah, I love lines and shapes and form.
Yeah, and the texture. I'm big into like old brick walls. And
was this in London? Did you say?
Yeah, that was at the Clapton Country Club.
And this.
That was the wedding where the girl was getting out the window with her fag.
So wedding, right? Yeah. So I mean, but I love this London brick. It's very Charles Dickensy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It's really cool. And this is totally different. I mean.
Oh yeah, this was. Blimey, this one's.
This looks tropical.
It does, doesn't it? It's Mevagissey in Cornwall. That is.
Ah, cool.
So that's Mevagissey Harbour down there, and this was a Canadian. An American couple that were getting married down there. Again, they flew their family over for the wedding. They were so lucky with the weather that day. I think that was like a June or July wedding. Straight after the ceremony, they just got serenaded by the band.
Yeah.
The band were just following them around. They were stood there.
Brilliant.
I started off down the bank. I'm stood up on the bank where the house is.
Yeah.
I started off down here, and I was quite intimate and in their face. And I just thought, well, no, all the guests are staying here. This could be my only chance to get a really wide vista shot.
Yeah.
With them in it.
I heard a photographer talk once about thinking in your ceremony, like your bride and groom are like the actors on the stage, and the guests are like the audience, the audience members. And I do quite like that sort of thing that's going on here. It's like all the action is going on around.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like it's like
all
inverted.
Eyes on them.
That. Yeah, everything's going on.
It's all eyes on them, but it's not done in an intimidating kind of way.
Yeah, no, it's a really, and you've got obviously.
The colour as well, yeah.
You've got a really lovely sort of. I presume this was a summer's day, looking at the shadows.
I was really lucky. We were really lucky with the weather for that. So
have you ever got like sunburn, or have you ever got horrendously sunstroke? You got sunstroke or anything from?
I've never got sunstroke, but I've got sunburn before.
Have you?
Yeah, just because I'm terrible at thinking I've put enough on, and then you realise you're out and about in it.
Do you wear hats to weddings?
Yeah, I do on summer weddings. I did photograph quite a few festival themed weddings.
Yeah.
During the summer months, and last year I got through a couple of hats just from.
It's quite sensible
just straw hats.
And what about shorts? Do you wear shorts if it's really hot?
No, I did a wedding in Lake Como last year, and I did a pre-wedding shoot with them the day before the wedding. I just said I've got a smart pair of shorts. And before I'd even finished the sentence, they said, "Yeah, wear whatever makes you comfy." I mean, I could wear a suit to a wedding and I wouldn't feel comfy all day, and you wouldn't get the shots that I would get wearing my skinny jeans, because I just can't kneel down. I can't get in position. I don't feel like I can sit down, roll around on the floor and get the shots that I would do if I was dressed a little bit more relaxed.
I think that's it. You've got
this is pretty much what I wear to a wedding.
Yeah, and I think you've got to almost live up to your logo and your brand a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you've got like a really quirky brand and then you turn up in a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, if I turned up as smart as the groom, I'd feel.
You'd feel like a bit of a.
Yeah, a bit of a lemon. Yeah. I'd be like, oh crap, especially if it was the same suit as his. Yeah.
And you're behind the camera anyway, so no one's photographing you.
No, eyes aren't on the photographer. Eyes are on the groom. Yeah.
Now I love this. Out of the selection that you sent me, I think this is one of the more. Obviously, it's a really emotional one, and it's Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride.
And I love how pin sharp you are on the eye.
Really?
I don't want to get pixel PP, but it's just.
But that would have been 1.4. I'd have been wide open.
I mean,
because look, the door, which is like 2-3 feet behind him, is completely out of focus.
Yeah. But you obviously had seconds to get this shot, and I mean, I don't know how many shots you took either side of this, but it's just such a beautiful little moment.
Oh, cheers! Yeah,
and
it tends to be. I'm pretty trigger happy. Just going back from my press days, I'm like that, but in small bursts. And I never want it to be too intimidating for anyone.
Yeah,
especially when I'm that close. But that would have been 35mm.
Yeah.
In their face, and
I just think
just as soon as he walked in and he saw the bride.
Yeah, I just think it's a really nice photo, and
thanks. But that doesn't always happen if there ever is a father of the bride moment where they come in to see their daughter for the first time. Sometimes there's like no connection. Sometimes like the dad walks in and says, "Right, you ready then? Come on."
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
You've anticipated this moment.
You can't stereotype people, and you can't expect something, because every wedding is so completely different, but you can't expect that just because the father of the bride's coming up to, it's all going to be like tears, and because I've had it in the past in this case.
Yeah.
So you kind of just go with the flow, and whatever happens, happens.
This one is
seconds before I got soaking wet.
Really?
Yeah, that's not Photoshop. That is the clouds.
A massive storm.
It was that was in Cambridge at a wedding and they went punting, and all the guests were behind them as well.
Yeah.
All punting, and I could have got on one of the boats with them and got some shots, but I knew I would get better pictures from the riverbank.
Yeah.
And I must have walked about 3 or 4 miles up and down the riverbank getting shots.
So this was like in between the ceremony and the reception.
Yeah, they had like an evening reception where there was like a big gap of like 3 hours.
So they all as a as a party went on the river. They
it
went
was just a nice fun, really chilled out afternoon.
And these, is this a balloon? Are these balloons?
Yeah, balloons that they've got attached. They walked through Cambridge with them as well, so
cool.
I did shots of them like that. But
that's cool.
When I took that shot, I looked at the back of the camera and I thought, they're too small in it. I should have gone in closer. But the more I look at it now, it doesn't really matter.
So, would you like to get up close and personal with your couples, or do you like to show the landscape and them as part of the landscape?
A bit of both. I like to give couples variation. I'm huge on giving them everything. I never want a couple to get their images back and feel that they've missed out on some part of their day. So if something's fitting for a wide, like kind of landscape portrait, like that one is, I'll take it, and then I'll potentially zoom in as well. Yeah. But I'd only ever give them what I thought was the better one.
But you don't just do one. You one style. No, you try and get
it's all about variation and variety and
So this is a shot that someone has maybe questioned that this could have been photoshopped. This could have been.
I've had a couple of people suggest that the arm wasn't actually in there, but I'm not that good at Photoshop to do stuff. I haven't got the patience to do that. Plus, it's not being true to your photography.
And obviously, you can't have planned that photo. No, that arm coming.
The arm is what makes that image for me. If that's not there, it's an all right image like that, because you can imagine the leaves are being thrown in from that direction, but the arm just gives it a story and it just gives it more. Gives it more oomph, doesn't it? But I love that.
And we've got the girl in the foreground cowering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was on the steam train because they had their reception on the steam train.
Cool.
So we pulled over to one of the platforms. They got out and just started having a leaf fight, and I couldn't believe it. So I was just like, I've got to get off. I was doing a portrait of an elderly guest, and then I just thought, I'll be back in a minute, and then I ran out, and I must have taken about 40-50 frames of this fight. And
so this was obviously not set up by you.
They were going hell for leather with it. It was brilliant. I've got another shot where the bride's got a face full of leaves in it, and I shot a burst of 4, and that could potentially be a better shot, but in my personal opinion, I like the composition and the everything to.
Yeah, I think you've got it all here. I really like it. Yeah, it's really cool. This one again, this is so timeless. I think this could have been shot in 1950 or last month.
And when I shot that, I just knew that it had to be black and white. So. But that was we were just turning up to photograph the wedding at the church, and we just turned up at the reception. And that was back a few years ago when I used to shoot with the 70-200 a hell of a lot. I had the 70-200 on my passenger seat. That's shot through my car window.
Oh, is it?
So I'm still there with the car running, and we're just waiting for them to open the gates to the reception. And they all looked out, and then I just looked up, got the camera out, and it wasn't until they saw that I was the photographer that they started sticking their tongues out.
Oh, brilliant!
And then that shot with the 70-200, which I never use now.
So sometimes you just get lucky, don't you?
Total luck, yeah. They were looking at me and being cheeky, and then when they saw that, were reminded that I was a photographer because I had the big camera. They did something fun,
it's just, if they were all smiling or something, it would be a cute, nice picture, but it wouldn't have that cheeky.
No, exactly.
And that's a real portfolio booster. I think that's really, really awesome. This one again. So we've gone from the millennials to the golden generation.
This was only about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and
was it?
Yeah, 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were getting into it. And she's got a leg brace, but it's not stopping her from dancing.
It's really cool. The faces and
you got the kilt in the background with the badger on it. And this really colourful lady here. You got the kid in his pajamas already playing with his toy. It's just a really layered kind of image.
It's just one of those photos where you've got everyone's in their own world.
Yeah, exactly. They're loving it, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really good. So moving on now to this one. Now we've talked about this groom today. So this was shot a couple of years ago.
Yeah, blimey, maybe 4 or 5 years ago down in Portsmouth. And when I used to do wedding fairs and I had my sample album out, it was their wedding that was my sample album.
Cool.
And whenever couples at a wedding fair were looking through the pages, they'd notice that I don't generally do traditional group photos, and couples would get to that spread and they'd get stopped in their tracks.
Really?
And I was always really interested to hear what people said, and they were just, did did you set that up like that? I could imagine us having a shot like that.
Yeah.
And that's before the couple have even booked me or
Yeah.
talked to me about me potentially photographing their wedding. And then I just say, well, they were all outside having a cigar, and I just said, oh, gather together, guys. But I didn't want it to look too set up like a team photo, otherwise it looks too traditional. So I don't mind that some people's faces are hidden because they've got cigars up. It's kind of real life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of got that like...
And the groom doesn't have to be in the middle, he's slightly off to the side.
Yeah.
As a whole, with the rest of the images, they'll know who the groom is. And
and I imagine, do you have that kind of ethos when you're photographing the formals? Do you even do formal photographs?
If I do group photos, I tend to say let's keep it to 10 minutes and 6 to 8 group photos max, and then we rattle through them, and then generally do them after I've taken the couple away to do the portraits.
Yeah, make sure you get the couple photos.
Yeah,
they're the most important.
I don't generally relax at a wedding until I've done the portraits.
Yeah.
Not properly relax anyway, because I do like doing the portraits.
I think with wedding photography, it's a little bit top heavy, isn't it? You've got your first 3 or 4 hours, which are
the candid, ready bridal shots.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you sort of start to relax
the
into
portraits. The portraits is such a small part of the wedding day, which is why when you do get that 20-25 minutes to do it, you want to take a couple away, and you want to have their full attention. And sometimes a videographer comes along with you, and if the videographer's a good one, they won't get in your way.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bridesmaid comes along, and sometimes a bridesmaid can get in the way and make the couple feel awkward. And I've had to send a bridesmaid away once.
Have you?
Yeah, just because she was just faffing too much, and she was making the bride really anxious, and the bride wasn't like that when we did the pre-wedding shoot. So I just said, "Oh, do you mind?" And you don't say it in a horrible way, but you just say you're going to get better pictures if you just relax and it's just the two of you and me.
Yeah.
But most videographers are fine when they come with me. They just do their own thing.
Yeah.
I like to think that most couples that are relaxed enough to book me are also going to be have booked a videographer that's has a similar style to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because it must be a nightmare when you get one wedding supplier or someone who's there who's
taking over.
Yeah.
Because I'm never the one that takes over. If a videographer wants to do something, I'm more than happy for them to go first. Yeah.
I think that's why it really helps not to put too much pressure on yourself and just let things happen.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I always say that the only pressure that you have at the wedding is the pressure that you've put
on yourself.
On yourself, yeah. Nobody, not unless you've only just started and it's your first wedding. Then there's immense pressure coming from everywhere.
Do you remember your first wedding?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
How did it go?
It rained. It was, I think it was like the week before December. It was the end of November.
Yeah.
I was 19. I shot it on about 13, 14 rolls of film.
Really?
And I had to do the group photos in the church with direct flash because it was raining outside. I'd never used flash before, so I was shooting flash on film.
Did you get it right?
Yeah, they all came out alright, and the couple liked them. But at the same time, I didn't sleep the night before, and
I can imagine, yeah.
And I didn't sleep that well until I got the film process back. I shot it on colour.
So was it just a case of, look, you've got this, you know what you're doing, don't worry too much about it, or was it like a hit and hope and just?
Well, when I was doing weddings then,
at the time, did you just sort of tell yourself, look, I know how to take a picture?
It was something that I wanted to get into, but you're talking like back in, this is 1998, 1999, so digital wasn't even about. And I don't know, I was a press photographer at the time, so I already had a job. I probably just did it just for an extra bit of money, and for the first few years of shooting weddings in the early 2000s, I didn't really enjoy doing them because they were shot in such a traditional way, but that was the only way I knew then, so totally not like how it is now. It's actually fun now.
Yeah.
So this is where me and Anna do all the editing. Everything pretty much happens in this room. It's the warmest room in the winter.
Is it?
The studio's really cold in the winter, but so I sit over here, do all my editing on the MacBook Pro. What's your
audio of choice? Radio, playlist, or
radio until Anna gets annoyed with it, and then she'll put something cooler on YouTube. Yeah, she's considerably younger than me, so she'll have something a lot more cool on the radio.
So this is the website. There's the
new logo.
blue logo, which is very cool.
Yeah, it's not like a massive. I wouldn't. Yeah, but it's a rebrand. But I've only just tarted up the website a little bit more. I've made it a bit simpler than it was beforehand.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I really probably look into far more than I need to the website. Yeah. And then this is Anna's desk where she does all her editing.
Yeah.
All on Lightroom, of course.
Cool.
Very little done on Photoshop.
Yeah. Do you prefer, what percentage is Lightroom? What percentage is Photoshop?
99% Lightroom and then 1% Photoshop, maybe not even 1%.
Really?
Photoshop, we just use it to get rid of signs.
Really?
Fire exit signs we find at wedding venues are just becoming a nightmare for us. So fire exits, horrible shadows, things like that. But other than that, we just do so much on Lightroom. Lightroom's brilliant.
Well, your style's very quirky and very relaxed, very laid back, very
colourful.
Yeah. I mean, with these couple of photos especially, again, they're the sorts of photos that a lot of wedding photographers, like you'll say, will get rid of them straight away. But you...
Or not entice into happening,
Yeah, so I mean, with this photo here, is this the bridesmaids getting ready?
Yeah, that's just the bridesmaids getting ready, and I can't remember. I think that just happened. I just happened to get it, and I was just like, yeah, that one's going in. But when I take it, they probably think, oh, I'll make the face, that's never going to make it. When in actual fact, I'm deleting all the boring ones. Yeah. And putting that one in,
And what about this one here? Is this like...
That's right at the end of the day, and that's typically as relaxed as my group shots get. It's just like, all day, they've probably said to me, I know we're not doing many group photos, but I think I did about 4 family shots before doing this one. And then they said, can we just get one with our friends? I know that they were conscious just to get some nice formal family shots, and then I just took them off. They wanted a picture of their close friends. Yeah. And they were just mucking around having a laugh. And I think I'd actually gone in close to photo because she had yellow. Her favourite colour was yellow, as you'll see in the wedding dress. Yeah. I loved her dress. And then she had her toenails painted yellow. So I went in for some close-up shots, and I just jokingly got in too close, and they all just cracked up, and then I just backed off and took that shot. I think I'm pretty sure that's how that one materialised.
That's probably the good thing about shooting it. I mean, as an estimate, were you about 1.8, 2.8, somewhere in that region?
It was a lot darker than it looked there, so I was probably about 2.8 on. I think that was on my 35mm 1.8. I'd not long had that lens, so... And
the obviously the wider you are, the faster you can shoot, so the more chance you have of catching these reactions.
Yeah, well, sometimes when I use the 85mm lens, people go, what? I can't... Sorry, what? Because I'll talk behind the camera, forgetting that they can't see my lips, they can't... so much is blocked out because I look through it like that. I don't look through it with my right eye and squint with my left. I always look through it with my left eye, and then I can see what's going on with my right eye as well. Yeah. So I've just always shot like that. So when you've got the camera in front of you,
I don't know if I'm right-eyed or left-eyed. Yeah.
See if you can remember.
No, I'm right-eyed. I'm right-handed and right. I don't know if that's, but I've always got this eye open.
Yeah.
But
normally, a lot of the time, you see people looking through that, and then they just feel the need to squint, but. I always look through that, but your hand's there, so it's already blocking your mouth. Yeah. So if you've got the 85mm on and you're further away, they're going, I prefer a connection with people. So a lot of the time I'll keep the camera down, then I'll just suggest something, and then it's just all about being ridiculously quick. Yeah. The amount of times I whack myself in the head, because and then you just pretend to carry on as if nothing's happened, and then you go, all right, that hurt. So I wouldn't want to do it with a D850.
Oh god, it's like a house brick there.
Yeah, exactly.
So with your style, I know this is a big can of worms to open, but how do you develop? How do you attract the clients that you want to attract?
It all comes down to the website, and the website is your shop window, isn't it? So I do the website myself, just because. That's how it's always been. It's not a control freak kind of thing. It's kind of a bit of a money saving thing. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I have had years and years ago, about 10 years ago, when I went freelance for the first time, I got a web developer team, and I spent about $2,000 on them developing it. They came up with different logos, and even when it launched, I wasn't happy with it. I just didn't feel it was me. They didn't let me have a lot of input, and it was money down the drain. So it's so easy to make your own websites nowadays. I use Squarespace for my main website, and then my online galleries hosted by SmugMug. So the online gallery is what gets sent out to the couple and their family and friends. But yeah, I think it just comes down to attracting the right couples by what I put out on my website. If I didn't want to shoot at golf clubs, I'm not going to fill my website with weddings full of golf clubs. Weddings that have happened at golf clubs. If I like a festival themed wedding like that one, like the shot behind me, I'm gonna blog festival themed weddings. I don't need to say, I want more of this, please. I don't need to be that brazen. You're kind of saying that by posting it. Did a New York couple shoot. I'm going to put that on my homepage because I'd love to do more stuff like that. The Lake Como wedding, that's featured on my website. Probably about 50% of what I shoot doesn't see the light of day on my website, on Instagram. I don't Instagram every wedding I shoot. I don't put everything up on Facebook just because I haven't got the time. It's got nothing to do with the couple or the wedding as a whole. It's just the fact that you can only show so much of your work, and I don't want to be ramming it down people's throats that follow me on social media all the time.
So on the sort of on that same breath, what's your favourite social media to use?
Instagram. Instagram. 4 years ago, it was Facebook. I wouldn't say that I got a lot of bookings off the back of Facebook, but I was getting a lot of reach, and a lot of people were seeing stuff on there. I just find that more people see stuff through Instagram now. And people tell me when they book me, oh yeah, we came across you via something you'd hashtagged on Instagram or something.
Oh, great.
Or a venue that I'd shot at had shared my image and tagged me in it, and then before you know it, a couple of phoning me up and booking me. So
I think Instagram is, I don't want to sound like a millennial, but it's where the cool kids are, isn't it? And it's where people who know what they like can centralise on things by hitting hashtags and by hitting the venues that they like, and they'll be able to find similar people's work. So it's probably how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I used to be guilty of, like, a couple of years, last year, I'd shoot a wedding, then the following day, if I didn't have another wedding, I'd put 9 pictures up because it made nice grid. And then I just realised it was making so much work for myself, and then every couple was expecting that. So this year I'm just being a lot more... I don't generally like editing pictures straight after shooting the wedding. I like to detach myself from the wedding for maybe a week, and then I'll colour it, and then I'll give it to Anna to edit, or I'll edit it. Some of the time we edit backwards, just because people are a lot more relaxed in the evening than they are at the beginning. So sometimes we'll edit from the party to the...
That's a good idea.
You got to think, when you're shooting lots of weddings, you got to keep it exciting, otherwise it just I'd never want it to become mundane or like any typical job. It's like I was saying earlier, I don't like the word office, so I call
it studio.
Studio, even though we've got no studio lights. I've never photographed a couple in here. Well, no, I did do a pre-wedding shoot in here once, but other than that.
So your pre-wedding shoots that you do, how many couples, first of all, what's the point, in your opinion, of a pre-wedding shoot?
The main point is, from a totally not selfish point of view, from me, is for me to get to know that couple, them to get to know me. The majority of couples that book me aren't that keen on being in front of the camera. They just see something in my... Maybe I'm very honest on the My Approach page on my website about how I work, and that attracts like-minded people to myself. Just fun, creative, carefree. Don't take themselves too seriously. So I like to think that by them booking a pre-wedding shoot with me, they'll see that it's not daunting. It's not a photographer grabbing them going, you got to stand like this, you got to look like you love each other, and I'll hug each other. Not every shot's got to be kissy and arms all over each other. You can just be having fun, have a piggyback, do whatever you want. I did a pre-wedding shoot in London last week, And it was their suggestion. They just said, "Oh, do you mind if you photograph us making a cocktail?" I was just like, "Go for it! That's brilliant." That's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, well, go for it. And then I was photographing them in the just lying on the bed in the bedroom. It was all really chilled out. And then we went out and did some photographs in the park, which is more what you'd expect from a pre-wed shoot. But I'm looking forward to editing the shots that I took of them just making a cocktail, because it's something a bit different.
So if you can introduce an activity, like, for example, off the top of my head, walking up Brighton Pier would be perfect.
Yeah, and if it means something to the couple as well, yeah, I've photographed pre-wed shoots in the past where a guy has looked like really fidgety, agitated like that, going like that, and he's wearing a suit, and I just had to say something. I said, "Oh, you're alright, do you not normally wear a suit?" And he goes, "No, never." I said, "Oh, why are you wearing it today then?" He goes, "Oh, just because we thought it needed to be for the photo shoot." And I said, "No, I said you should have come in the clothes that you feel most comfortable in, and that you feel relaxed." So they went back home, got changed, and he was just, that's better. And they were just jeans and t-shirt. And I said, now I can instantly see his face him, and his face just lit up. He was a lot more relaxed.
Brilliant.
But then I'm the same. If I had to wear a suit, I'd feel like I was going to get married, or like he was fine on the wedding day wearing his suit because that was what was expected on his wedding day. So.
And is that your first question to them? Where would you like to shoot? Where would you
for the pre-wedding?
As long as it's not in Portugal or America or something.
Oh no, I'd love it if they said that. Yeah, I'd obviously charge extra for that. Yeah, that'd be the dream.
Yeah, that'd be actually yeah,
that'd be awesome pre-wedding shoots. I'd definitely be up for all of them then. But yeah, I say to them, "Where do you want to do it?" And then I like it when they say it's near. It means something to them why we're doing it here. If they're just doing it somewhere because it's been shot by lots of other photographers, that's up to them.
With your wedding photography business, you're all over the country. You're Devon and London, and you're all over. How does that affect your family life? Because you've got a young family, and is it easy? Is it difficult? Is it easier than you thought it was going to be? Is it all about management, or? Yeah,
it's all about work-life balance and just getting it right. And it's taken me years to, even before we had Jesse, our son, who's like 20 months old. Even before we had Jesse, Claire, my wife, was very understanding that I was always away for a lot of time. But yeah, definitely since we've had Jesse, it's more apparent to me that I would like to get more local weddings, but there's not a lot I can do about that other than like maybe doing wedding fairs around here again. But then that's the kind of thing I was doing 4 or 5 years ago. And it is difficult. I mean, tomorrow, what was tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. Isn't it? Yeah, Thursday. So I'm going away for a week from tomorrow. So I've got a pre-wedding shoot on Friday down in Gloucestershire, a wedding down in the West Country on Saturday. Then straight after that, I'm over to Cornwall to do a pre-wedding shoot over in Perranporth. So I'll be there for a couple of days, and then I'm back next Wednesday. So I'm going to be away for a week from tomorrow. So it doesn't always happen where I'm away for that amount of time. But then last week I was in London for 3 days shooting 3 pre-wedding shoots. But then on the flip side of that, I don't take on any work. Well, I didn't this year, other than a wedding in Vegas between January and the beginning of April. Right. So at the beginning of this year, I didn't shoot for 3 months. And I loved it. It was brilliant.
So were you still here every day?
Not every day. We were coming in here just we were preparing the studio for the workshops. Me and Anna were getting the workshop ready. Every year I like to do an end of year slideshow. So that took us a bit of time to get together, so we collated them. We're working on blogs. So much about photography is about, it's like nowadays it's 10% being a photographer and taking photos, 90% being a businessman and admin and accounts and marketing. Marketing's a huge thing. As much as I don't spend lots of money on advertising, me and Anna put together a lot of blogs from the weddings and hope that they get seen online. So
do you shy away? Do you stay away these days from wedding fairs?
I do. I do. I'm not doing any this year just because in the past when I've done them, I've found that they can take over a whole weekend. And whenever I have a weekend off now, I really cherish it as family time and to spend a lot of time with Jessie and Claire and not so much chasing work. I've got nothing against wedding fairs. They were really good for me and successful, like in the early days.
Yeah.
And it's just a difficult one. I find them quite stressful, and I don't get stressed out by a wedding, but a wedding fair stresses me out. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Most people would be the other way around, where they'd be like, oh yeah, but it's all about numbers, isn't it, and getting the sales in. But I'm not a pushy person. Sometimes at wedding fairs I look like I don't care because I stand there and I don't try to pounce on people. But that's just because when we were looking for a wedding photographer, we went to a wedding fair and we were out after 10 minutes because so many people physically grabbed me and Claire trying to get us. You
feel like you're in an Egyptian bazaar or something like that. Yeah.
And they didn't even know we were in the industry because Claire's in the industry as well.
Yeah.
And we just got out, and that kind of put me off wedding
Giving
fairs.
you all these goodie bags. And all that,
exactly. And I'm just like, well, let's see your photos before I judge whether I want to fly you over to America to photograph our wedding. And then in the end, we booked somebody that we found online that lived out there.
Yeah.
But then I do appreciate it when like people book me that have found me online or via a blog, and then we've just done like a Skype chat, because not many people come here to chat before the wedding.
Yeah.
Most people that come to the studio have already booked me and have only done the initial Skype meeting.
Yeah.
The Skype meeting ends, and then I hang up, and then I just wait for the email to come in to say, yes, we felt we bonded on the Skype meeting. You're exactly what we want, or they get back to us and they just say we've gone with someone else.
Yeah,
that's the thing. There's so many wedding photographers out there nowadays. There's sometimes I talk to people on Skype and I'm one of 6 or 7 photographers that they're chatting to, and sometimes you can see in their face that they're just bored of asking the same questions. And I tend to think that most couples that book me go with their gut feeling. And
I like that about your website, and your ethos is
honest.
Put those pictures of an upside down room on the
Don't shy away from the riskiness.
Because the likelihood is that you're probably maybe not, well, almost certainly not the first photographer they've seen.
No.
So if you can show them something different, or make them laugh, or make them think, well,
exactly, because some photographers will then bombard them with follow-up emails. And just say, oh, you're going to book. I felt like the meeting went really well.
Like a hard sell.
Yeah, whereas I'm just like, I prefer to treat people how I'd like to be treated. And if somebody kept following me up, I'd be like, God, that's a bit desperate. Or, God, he really needs to work. Just leave us alone. Everyone's lives are so busy nowadays, which is why sometimes I deliver the images, the USB, and I don't hear anything back for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I send them an email. I go, did you get the pictures all right? And then they come back and like, oh, crap, we thought we let you know. Yeah, we love them. And then you're like, well, thank God, because you like them, otherwise you wouldn't have let them leave the studio.
How long is your turnaround time from finished,
from shooting the wedding to the...
so when you say goodbye to the couple to when the images land on their doorstep?
It's 6 to 8 weeks for the turnaround of the weddings. I mean, in quieter time, in like winter periods, it's nearer the 4 to 6 week period, but it all depends. Summer months are obviously a lot busier.
Yeah. And how many weddings per year, based on a sole trading wedding photography business, do you think is too many? Or what do you think is about right? I mean, obviously I know it's subjective, but what do you feel is too much and too little?
Oh, God, it's tricky one, that. Good question.
Or what's the most you've ever done, and how did it feel?
The most I've ever had to do feel. See these bags? They're permanent. They're from 2015. Seriously, I did. I had 58 in the diary.
That's incredible.
For what year did I just say? Yeah, 2015. Had 58 in the diary. 3 of those couples cancelled due to splitting up. So I ended up, I think I did 50, I think it was 55 I ended up shooting that year.
But you're quite glad they split up.
Well, some of them didn't let me know. I had to find out by constantly emailing them.
Oh, God.
But I finished the year on, I think it was 55 that year, and I edited them all as well.
Yeah.
And I edited them all. I didn't have Anna then. Last year we did 50, and I did have Anna, and that was really manageable. Yeah, it was manageable, but going back to family time and all that, I want more time. I love having time off. I'm not afraid of admitting that. As much as I've been doing this for 20 odd years, I still want to be passionate about photography, and you can only do that by not burning out. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've learned from going on wedding photography workshops, where a lot of the best wedding photographers say don't burn out, don't take on too much because you're burnt. I did feel like I burnt out that year that I did 55 on my own, editing them all, but I never lost the love for photography. I was still going into every wedding excited and treating every wedding like it was the first one I'd ever shot, but at the same time I was just tired, and some of the couples had to wait a bit longer than 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the weddings I didn't even look at until 3 weeks after the wedding because I had a backlog of editing.
Really?
But getting Hannah in was one of the best things. I wish I'd done that years ago because she really helps with the backlog. We get on really well. She edits the wedding so well. And she's really good with Jesse when he comes in.
Brilliant.
So yeah, she will be getting her up for babysitting duty soon. So that's a good part of it. This year I've got 35.
Yeah.
And I'm sticking to 35.
Yeah.
So that Las Vegas wedding came in as a last minute one, but I wasn't going to say no to them. And they were a really lovely couple, and just flew out with them for 5 days, and just me and them, just a elopement. It was cool.
So what's in the diary for this year then? Are you getting on a plane anywhere soon, or are you doing any more abroad weddings?
No, I only generally do like 1 or 2 abroad a year. I don't actively try and get them just because it's difficult. You could do a wedding abroad, but then in that week you could be turning down 3 in the UK. And now, ever since having Jessie, I'm a lot more business minded, and you have to think, as cool and as fun as it is doing weddings abroad, unless I can turn it into a holiday. I took a booking last week for a wedding in the south of France next year, and it's on our anniversary week, so we've already decided to go out for 10 days.
It worked out well.
So when we went to Lake Como last year, Jesse came with us, and that was his first holiday abroad. Did
you drive? How did you get there? Did
you
fly
we flew, and then I drove. They're nuts, aren't they, over there?
I've been to Como town. Yeah, driving around Como is so stressful.
My back didn't hit the back of the seat. I was just like, and then when you leave in the airport, all the cars just congregate, and wacky races. Yeah, and it was about 34 degrees, and
if you can drive in Italy, you can drive anywhere.
Yeah, you're not wrong here. Yeah. So that was fun. We turned that into a family holiday.
Awesome.
But just getting the work-life balance. Claire's really understanding, and we just bring Jessie comes in here, and it's a really cool studio where they're very relaxed about you bringing your kids here.
Awesome.
If we'd gone for like a typical office setup, it probably would have been different.
Yeah.
But 35 this year, and I'm happy with that.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. I think we've...
Sorry, I do like to talk.
No, I could listen to you all day. So, nice one, Ed. Cheers for coming on the channel.
Thanks.
So, I hope you've enjoyed this rather lengthy chat. I really have. It's great to meet, wedding photographers that have been there and got the T-shirt, and they've been doing so for a while and will continue to do so. So thanks for watching, folks. Remember to like, leave me a comment, and let me know if you can relate to anything what Ed said. I'm sure you can. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And remember, tell your friends. Cheers, folks.